Some people may wonder what anthropology is and where the term comes from. There are four subfields in anthropology: linguistics, archaeology, sociocultural, and physical. I am here to talk about linguistics and why it matters. However, you might want to understand what anthropology is and why it matters before jumping too far ahead. Anthropology is the scientific study of human beings. It helps people understand the evolution and the behavior of humans from across the world and through past and present. The term anthropology comes from Greek origin. The prefix anthro means human, and the suffix -logy means study. The anthropological approach to studying humans includes a holistic, cross-cultural, and historical perspective. The holistic perspective is showing how anthropologists familiarize themselves with the behavior of a culture's tradition. Cross-cultural explains anthropologists comparing communities, and historical as human population and species. In anthropology, researchers have to do many tasks that they will have to undertake, such as identifying exactly what is shared about culture. They will have to ascertain what things symbolize and how they become significant, and then they will determine when, where, and by whom ideas are deemed significant. These are the main tasks that researchers have to complete because if these are not met, then it will not benefit the researcher to study the culture they are analyzing. In a nutshell, anthropology is a study that helps people understand humans more. Some people do this daily by just observing people. If you were to sit outside and observe what people do in that setting, it is similar to what the concept of anthropology is. As a reminder, anthropology has four subfields: linguistic anthropology, physical anthropology, sociocultural anthropology, and archaeology. Now, on to the main point, linguistics. Many people do not know what linguistics is or that it is even a word, even though they talk daily. We learn that anthropology is a study of humanity, but linguistics is a study of language. So, if you were to put them together, scientists are studying the human language. This is an interesting topic because there are so many different types of languages in the world, whether it's an accent of some sort or how a certain community of people speak to one another. Also, linguistics does not only apply to the language, but it also deals with words. Linguistics can infer what people do. Some people focus their research on the connections, experiences, and relationships within the language. Also, linguistics is used in all different types of cultures. This is where anthropology and linguistics come together. For example, one term that is related to both is code switching. Code switching is the practice of selecting or alternating linguistics when interacting with another. Code switching is more common in minority than majority groups. People assume that only colored minority communities use this term. What code switching is, in simpler words, is speaking between different languages. This could mean in terms of speaking or the person's behavior. Some people may code switch because they are bilingual in different languages. However, some people code switch between their body language or speech. This is explained with a new term called footing. This term means the stance or positioning that an individual takes within an interaction. Within this single interaction, even within a short span of talk, an individual can highlight any number of different roles. Alternating languages, among other linguistic marks, can serve to mark these shifts in context or role. Young people of minority groups may act a certain way at home with their parents, but when they are with their friends, they are a completely different person. As humans, we adapt to the characteristics of the people who we are around, regardless of where they are from. This describes that we do not even realize that language is within everything, not just speaking. Linguistics is a major aspect in the past and present, in a classroom setting and other countries throughout the world. Linguistics happens everywhere, whether in the present or the past. An example of linguistics in the past was in Tucson, Arizona. There was a researcher who visited Mexican American families. The families would speak Spanish because it is their first language. However, when they would speak to Anglo Americans, they would speak English. This researcher was the earliest person to use linguistics by studying this culture so that he can learn about the culture while also studying their language. Another instance in which linguistics was mentioned was in a quote that says, "Based on the assumption, supported by 60 years of educational research and the direct experience of thousands of teachers and millions of students, that the systematic teaching of grammar does very little or nothing or harm to students who need to learn what language is for, how it works, and why so often it doesn't." This explains that from decades of research, no students have had trouble with learning about what language is and is not. On the other hand, there is linguistics happening right now every day. In present day, there is no possible way to dictate what will happen with linguistics, and we have to accept that so we can understand that not all languages are similar. Since there is so much information about linguistics, people need to recognize it so they know how to represent different languages in the future. Linguistics in a daily lifestyle can occur when talking to your parents versus talking to your friends. This is an issue that comes up throughout the education system because many children will use words that they grew up with or learn from their friends, and the words are not technically English. Another example of using language in a different form would be writing a scholarly essay, which is different from texting. With texting, you have different alternates to use instead of using words like emojis or abbreviations, which you would not be able to write in an essay. This is very important in a classroom setting because it is hard for students to learn a new style of language if they are learning it at an older age. This might improve younger students so that in the future they will already know the language. Children's language development might pose problems because it is hard to collect the data and it does not remain constant. This is because as the children grow up, they learn the culture and what languages to know. Teachers should be learning how to deal with all of these different types of issues that might come about during their careers. This is consistent with the importance of teachers to have at least a basic understanding of how all the types of languages relate to each other and to the rest of the world. This shows that people believe education is the most relevant group to use linguistics. Linguistics is used all around the world. Many countries have the same language and words as another. Others may have their type of language that will be used within the group. With that being said, these types of groups will learn another language, for example, English, but will always speak their language to the community that they grew up with. Also, these groups may have English words that people may recognize. However, they create a different meaning behind the words. For instance, younger people would use multiple languages when speaking than the elders in their family. Another example is in Canada, there is two types of official languages that are spoken, English and French. Similarly, Welsh and Gaelic-speaking minorities continue to speak out when using their native language in the UK. This shows that both Canada and the UK have similarities between their languages and how there can be multiple main languages throughout each country. A final example is the country of Brazil researching their diversity within the languages spoken there. Researchers began to describe the complications that they had. Some of the problems were lack of large and robust language resources for Portuguese, lack of formal models for linguistic description and analysis of Portuguese, difficulty in attracting students and researchers to the area, poor interaction between universities and industry, and insufficient funding. These challenges could happen anywhere in the world, so it is important that we study linguistics so we can learn from the issues. My perspective on this topic is that linguistics is an important study that many people do not think about right away. I find it amazing how people study the behavior of how people speak, whether it's electronic or external. Linguistics has a way of illustrating how language can change over time and different words have different meanings by just stating facts. I was first confused about what linguistics was because, in all honesty, I've never heard of this word until I learned about it in class. Linguistics is a key subfield in anthropology because it demonstrates how language is represented throughout the world.